Yeah, so we've been covering this Loudoun County story a lot. Basically, for those who may not know what's going on, the general idea is that there is a student in the Loudoun County school system who is a male. He believes that he is a woman, and so they have allowed this student to begin going into the women's bathroom, as they do in blue places where they believe that people can change their gender. And so this person in May, unfortunately, raped a woman at school, or a girl, I believe she was underage, at school. And so he was moved. Their response to him raping someone was, we'll just move him to another school. So he was moved to this other school, also in Loudoun County, but just a different school in the district. And that happened in May. He was convicted of all those charges. And then he goes to his other school. In October, I believe October 6th, yes, October 6th, it happens again. He rapes another person in the bathroom of this other school.
Was this a woman as well?
Yes.
Or
this was
female?
a woman. Yes, he was in the female bathroom, and he raped a female. So, obviously, that's horrible. We've been covering it a lot. We've been writing a lot of stories about school board meetings. But there was a meeting last night where some parents spoke out directly to the superintendent. His name is Scott Ziegler, the superintendent of Loudoun County Schools. And I just want to read a couple of quotes from those parents who spoke last night. The first quote is from Hidalgo Myers. She is a president of the Loudoun County GOP Women's Club. And she said, quote, "You are so concerned with pushing race and gender that you sacrificed our children. A girl was sexually assaulted in May, and you all knew about it. The predator was put back in schools to sexually assault another girl. You all should be fired." And another woman named Amanda Shallett said, quote, "LCPS protects rapists. I call for immediate resignations of Dr. Ziegler and any of you that had any knowledge of the rape this spring." So I think that all three of us on set here would agree that those resignations should happen. So I don't want to ask, do you think that those people should resign? Because I think we're all in alignment on that. What I would like to hear is, do you think that these people will resign or be removed from their positions, or are they going to be protected?
Well, I really don't think that they're going to resign, because at this point, I think they're going to fall on their sword and say, hey, what we did is make the correct decision here. We were being charitable by sending this boy to another school to live out his fantasy fairy tale land. And they're going to claim that that's charitable despite entertaining his own fantasy that he really is a girl. And so I don't think that they're going to end up resigning, because at that point, then they would have to admit that they made a mistake. And as we know, the left can never admit that they've ever made a mistake. And so I think it's just going to keep going and progressing. And I know that one school board member left last week. And so she's probably counting her lucky stars that she left last week. I mean, it's just a nightmare. And talking too about what's going on at the schools and walkouts, a bunch of students at the surrounding area high schools also walked out yesterday. And so I think that these people are realizing, oh my gosh, it's not just these crazy parents who we've gotten the FBI involved with. These are our students who are also retaliating against us.
Do you think, so Tara, do you think they will not resign because they want to essentially take a moral stand and say, oh no, we did the right thing, we're not going anywhere, you guys are a bunch of bigots, you're hate-filled, get out of here?
I would think so, because at this point, I feel like this has been going on for months. Matt Walsh went there, rented a house there. This has been a media firestorm. It's been this hot pocket within American society. And so I don't know how this is going to make any difference, because if you're putting the pressure on someone that significantly and they still won't resign at this point, I think that their only strategy at this point is to really, as I said before, is fall on their sword and say, no, we made the right decision. We weren't being bigoted, but we're also not responsible for that young man's actions.
That's interesting. I don't know what they're going to do, Grant. I tend to think that the pressure is going to get so high that almost no one will be able to stand up under it. I mean, it would take someone of Clintonian proportions to be able to stand up under that much pressure and that much evidence of wrongdoing, that's what it sounds like anyway.
Yeah.
So they are going to have to be unbelievably strong or deluded people to do it. I don't know how strong they are. They are probably somewhat deluded based on what we've seen. But I mean, for the folks who are watching, this is emblematic of what's going on in other parts of the country. Now, a lot of good is coming out of this because we're seeing kind of what the liberal and into leftist education establishment really looks like. They're straight up telling us. Mm-hmm. Just like the National School Board Association did.
Yeah.
And how we've now seen, I think it was Ohio and Mississippi, and now I don't know if any others have sort of rejected them. Those
there's a couple
school boards have said, we're finished with you guys. So the mask is coming off. The scary thing here is that this is probably the tip of the iceberg. There's probably so much more of this going on. So we don't know how bad it is across the rest of the country. And as more comes out, what are everyday Americans going to think about this? I mean, you've got the Washington Post out there running interference for these guys. And the Post straight up saying, and I think it was in the perspective section, do parents have a say in their children's education, or should they have a say in their children's education? And then the Post answers it in the headline. No, they shouldn't. I mean, this is absolutely nuts. This is the administrative state run amok.
It's interesting that you bring that up because that's the next question I wanted to ask you guys is there's a gubernatorial election coming up in Virginia. Terry McAuliffe, who's been the governor before, is going to run again. He thinks that he's going to win again, but the polls are saying that it's pretty much a dead heat right now. And I think that a lot of the gains that the Republican challenger, Glenn Youngkin, has been making has been because of this sort of thing happening in schools, because we're seeing what these policies do to everyday Americans. I was talking to Joey, another assignment editor in the office earlier today, and he was
That's
saying,
what y'all's titles are. Assignment editor. Sorry, keep going.
And he was saying that he thinks this could be a huge shift, not just for Virginia voters, but also for voters around the country, because one of the biggest demographics that Trump failed to really gain a lot of ground with in 2020 was suburban,
Bingo.
white, mostly
Soccer
mothers.
moms. What we used to call soccer
pretty
moms.
much soccer moms. And if there's one issue that they're concerned about, it's their children and the way that their children are being treated in schools.